This is the Johnny Cleveland Podcast, all things Cleveland sports, with your host, John Suchan. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Johnny Cleveland Podcast. I'm your host, John Suchan, and it is Tuesday evening, January 27th. I come to you fashionably late tonight. Said the show would start at 9. It's now 9:09. I've always been fashionably late. I learned that long ago from my best friends and their family that I grew up next door to. Name will stay. We will not disclose that name. Anyway, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports Network. We appreciate you tuning in. If you are watching us live right now on Facebook, YouTube, or X, thanks Steve Hemrich also for letting us use your X page, Twitter. Well, I waited to do this show. I've got my other Stirring the Pot show coming up probably later this week. Actually, redoing that show. My former colleague Lou Marconi, great guy. We did that show together, Stirring the Pot, and I'm redoing that again here. It will be renamed Stirring the Pot in Cleveland. We'll be doing that here coming up shortly, but this is our Johnny Cleveland show, and basically I was waiting, like all of you with bated breath, what the hell's going on, right? We're all waiting, and that's how a lot of you are feeling right now, and I understand that, and certainly I'm checking my X account every moment to see if there are any updates from the Cleveland Brownies in regards to their open head coaching job, which is now entering day 23, 24. We've seen other coaches fired and hired already across the board. There were 10 NFL coaching job openings, and I think 7 of them have been filled. The Cleveland Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, and the Raiders are the only ones left that have not named who their new head coach is going to be. The Browns started this process, and many of you are frustrated, you're fed up, and I'm not going to say that you're wrong to a degree, but when it starts getting into this realm of a lot of you, especially, and that's why I'm trying to stay off of social media and La La Land, because so many of you are just so damn negative. The number of you who are like, this is dysfunctional, the Haslams need to be fired, they just need to go away, they need to sell the team. What's wrong with our, Browns? I don't know why some of you are Browns fans, to be honest. I've said this before. I've talked about it on the show other times. I don't understand your perspective on being a Cleveland fan. If you are that sad and upset about all of this that's happening, then go root for another team. It's simple. You don't have to stick around and root for this team. You've said that you act like you want to be a fan, but then you're constantly in social media and La La Land spewing all this crap about this team that you seemingly are supposed to be caring about and love. You certainly aren't acting that way. So if you're that kind of person that's constantly belittling and putting down the Cleveland Browns, just go away. If you don't go away, that's fine. I'll ignore you. Other people will ignore you. You're just throwing out crap that there's no reason for it. I mean, you might think there's reasons for it, but you have no idea how an organization is run. You want to suggest that things are this way or that way. They have to be this way for this organization to be run the right way. And so many of you are just bashing this organization left and right. Yes, it's taking time. And yes, I'm as frustrated as you are, but I'm certainly not going to go out there and La La Land amongst all the negativity and say, oh God, this hiring process is just a joke. It's not a joke. Let these people do their job. And Jimmy Haslam, the owners, yes, they own the team. And no, they're not going to sell the team just because you want them to. Let them do what they need to do. And if it's the process of what they're doing right now and they're trying to maybe finalize things, let them figure that out. So many of you are so impatient. I mean, it's because of these damn phones, right? That's the issue, right? That's the reason that so many of you are just so constantly belittling and you have no patience. Your patience is about 5 seconds. And then you are throwing crap out about, again, this team that you say that you love and you care about. You don't care about them because you keep bashing on them. So go root for the Squealers, go root for the Ratbirds, go root for some other gosh forsaken team, but stop putting crap on La La Land that Browns fans who really care about this team really don't care to read your crap. So maybe I'm sure you're not going to change your thoughts just because you're watching this show right now or listening to this, but it certainly would do you some good maybe if you did. So we don't know yet who the Browns are going to hire as their coach. The three finalists are this Shieldhouse kid from the Rams. I'm saying that wrong. It's Shield. Let me just say I wrote it down earlier. Let me see if I got to get this say it right because we're all like, well, this kid he's like 35, limited experience. He has been the wide receiver or offensive kind of guru. Again, Shield Haas. He was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State for a couple of years. He did play. He was quarterback at the University of Illinois. So he's in the running. He's the guy that they interviewed on Monday. They flew out supposedly to California and talked to him for a second interview. In the meantime, Udinski took his name out of the hat, and many of you went, "Oh my God, their Browns are rotten. The organization sucks because these guys are dropping out left and right. Nobody wants the Browns job." My colleague Steve Gill points out a very good point every time we talk about the Browns. There are 32 jobs in the NFL, coaches, head coaching jobs, 32. It's a small group. It's an elite club. If you don't think guys want to be the Cleveland Browns coach, then you just are just stupid with your takes. This kid, look, he was probably told after a second interview, and if you've been part of the interview process, maybe at some point he was like told he's not going to get the job. So his manager or whomever gave him some advice and just said, we're just going to get out in front of it and say, we're taking her name out of the hat, out of the running. Before all of this La La Land, the social media, all this crap that we see right now, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, if you're a Browns fan like I am, have been there for a long time, we weren't privy to any of this crap going on right here. So you're seeing everything right in pretty much current time that we didn't see back in the day. So when people are saying, "Oh my God, all this stuff, this organization is a joke." We didn't. Things were happening 30, 40 years ago that we weren't privy to. The same damn thing was happening, not just the Browns, but all teams in the NFL. It's a political mess up and down. There's always politics involved in sports and things that are happening. So Udinski takes his name out of the hat. They go out and they interview the Shieldhouse guy. It lasted all day. Well, then all of you got bent out of shape when it was reported that Shieldhouse interviewed with or got an interview request with the Buffalo Bills. Oh my God, he's going to interview with the Buffalo Bills. Well, the Buffalo Bills today announced that their new head coach, they're promoting their offensive coordinator, I think Jeff Brady or whomever, to be the new head coach in Buffalo. But y'all got bent out of shape thinking that, oh my gosh, Shieldhouse is going to go to Buffalo. The other two guys involved in the final countdown here is Todd Monken and Jim Schwartz. Both Schwartz has been with the team for 3 years as a defensive coordinator. He's 59 years old. They're both Todd Monken and Schwartz are practically the same age. They've been in the NFL for many years. They've had a lot of success and a lot of not success. Monken has been here with the Browns before. And by the way, Jim Schwartz was with the Browns back in the day. I don't know if many of you go back and want to look at his coaching career, but he actually was with the Cleveland Browns way, way years ago prior to him coming back to the Browns more recently and being their defensive coordinator. So those are the three guys that everyone is talking about. And that's really what we're down to. Let the Browns and this organization run and do what they need to do. All of you guys out there bashing this team and the process and the length of time that it's taking, I just you just need to stop. I know you're not going to stop, but and I just won't look at your crap on social media because it's just boneheaded. If the Browns choose whoever they choose, there will be a plethora of you, all of you, who will be pissed off one way or the other. We're Browns fans. I want to say that we're united, but we have been so divided, and maybe it go. I think a part of it goes back to everything that's happened over the last 7 or 8 years, from Baker Mayfield to the Deshaun Watson trade to the Haslam's now seemingly making these mistakes that so many of you are pissed off about, keeping Andrew Berry, not keeping Andrew Berry, firing Kevin Stefanski. Then some of you, like even today, talking about Kevin Stefanski and seeing him at the press conference, and some of you in social la la land are like, "Oh, I really miss Kevin Stefanski." Listen, that that ran its course. You know that. You should know that if you're a Browns fan. It got stale. Kevin Stefanski won 8 games over the last 2 seasons. It wasn't going to improve. And by God, listening to Kevin Stefanski and some of his press conference today in Atlanta, great. He's excited. His family's down there. He sounds like the same old Kevin Stefanski. Speaking of that, when they were taking the pictures, I always look at this because I take lots of pictures of people. The people that don't always like to smile in pictures. Yeah, he grinned. He didn't open his mouth. He didn't show his bright white teeth, did he? Now I know I'm getting a little bit psychological here. I always find it interesting when you see how people take photos. And if you look at the photos that Kevin Stefanski took earlier today with the Atlanta Falcons at their press conference, he's grinning, but he's not opening those teeth. He's a middle-aged guy, what, 40 some years old. I don't know. Start opening that mouth and showing those beautiful teeth. Why don't you? I think it kind of goes into some of his what he is as a coach. He was talking about being a player's coach and letting kind of the locker room again kind of dictate how things go. And I think that's part of the issue that has been, especially recently. But over the course of the 6 years that Stefanski was here, it really was an up and down shenanigans with all of that with the locker room, from Myles Garrett disruptions that he and Stefanski got into, to Baker Mayfield and all of that. I mean, Stefanski was part of all that. He's supposed to be responsible. He was supposed to be like the coach. So it ran its course. We all know that. So let him do his thing. If Atlanta turns it around and they're like super successful, great. But the guy's won 8 games over the last 2 years here in Cleveland. Yeah, he was coach of the year twice. Yeah, he went to the playoffs. And I think those are great things. And we'll have, hopefully, years from now, we'll look back maybe fondly at those 2 playoff runs. I think the Browns are going to get back to the playoffs sooner than most people think. So we'll see. So that's where we're at right now with the coaching thing that's going on. Everybody is waiting to see what happens. I'm going to try to update my X page here and see if anything's new. Anybody know of anything that new? I know that I'm on live. I can see that here. Hold on a second here. All right. Well, we're on day 3. Actually, it'll be day 3 tomorrow of staying home. I'm an educator, and shout out to all of our students out there who we're going to have a third snow day or cold weather day. It's been brutally cold here in the Ohio Midwest region. Had a boatload of snow. We had 13 inches here of the snow here in the Columbus area. On Sunday, that was exciting. That's the most snow we've seen here in a long while in Columbus. I grew up north in Worcester, Ohio, and there were a couple big storms that we had back. Obviously, the blizzard of 77, 78. We had some other big storms in the mid 80s, early 90s. There was one storm I was talking to my dad the other day. It was about, I don't know, 14, 18 inches of snow we got in Worcester one year. So we've had a few, but here in Columbus, we typically might get, 3, 4, 5 inches of snow here and there, but this was a whopper. And right now, I mean, our streets, we live in a cul-de-sac in a little neighborhood. It's all, snow packed and iced over, and it's 0 degrees tonight, going to get down to -5, -6. So school districts are doing the smart thing. I know some of you who are maybe watching the show who might be more closer to Cleveland. I understand that some of the Cleveland suburbs and school districts aren't closing right now. I don't know if that's because the the winds up there aren't going to be quite as much as they are down here. I know sometimes it's interesting when you go up to Cleveland. You would think they would be colder, but especially when you're along the lake right there, sometimes obviously the lake is probably frozen over, so it doesn't matter as much. But sometimes those temperatures don't go up and down as much as they do when you get out in the rural side of things. So anyway, all right, let's pause for a quick commercial break, and we'll come back and talk more about these Cleveland Browns, the coaching, and a Pro Bowler here on the Cleveland Browns team coming up soon. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Johnny Cleveland podcast, part of the Fanatical Elves Network and Fans First. Shout out to Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. If you check out our Fanatical Elves page on our X page, you can click on that link, buy some amazing coffee, and you would be supporting us here on the Fanatical Elves Network. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was in the news yesterday. I know some of you are hell bent on saying, "Oh my God, this is what a joke the Pro Bowl is." Yeah, I know the Pro Bowl is not what it used to be, and the Pro Bowl in the NFL has never been much of anything. We can all agree on that. And obviously, more recently, it's become even more of a joke. What are they doing? Flag football now or something, I think. So anyway, Shedeur, interestingly, got selected. I don't know if any votes from fans were involved with that, but there's been a lot of comment about how, well, so and so Derek May or so and so Sam Darnold or so and so didn't make the Pro Bowl with better stats than Shedeur. And some boneheaded guy again here on some national, I forget the guy's name, I don't even know, pay attention to him. Just he was saying how of quarterbacks that have thrown the ball 200 times or more since the beginning of the NFL, there's been 697 quarterbacks, and Shedeur Sanders is like 690 on being the worst of those quarterbacks with that stat line. And I'm like, for God's sakes, let it be. You folks out there that are haters of Shedeur Sanders. No, I'm not. I've supported this kid from day one. I've supported this kid from the beginning of time before he was even drafted by the Cleveland Browns. I believe that there were a lot of things that went on during the draft last year that didn't have to happen. And do I think that he's a 5th-round draft pick? Well, he was drafted that way, so I'm not going to change history, but I certainly don't believe that he was a fifth round quality quarterback, despite what some of you might think. Now, speed ahead to like current times and what Shedeur did in 7 or 8 games that he played. No, he wasn't spectacular, but also he did some really good things. He helped this Cleveland Browns offense this past year move the ball down the field. He made it go vertical a little bit better. Yes, he had more interceptions than touchdown passes. I know all the stats. You don't have to, complain about it and say, my God, this is a joke. Look, Shedeur sells more jerseys than any other rookie this year, selling more jerseys than most NFL players this year. The NFL isn't stupid. They want some people to watch the game. Put Shedeur in there. There will be fans, and I'll be one of them, tuning in just to see Shedeur. That's okay. And if you're upset with that and you want to twist it and make it seem like the NFL is a joke, well, we already know that the NFL has a lot of problems, but they're a money maker. They are all about the dollar bill. Joel Cade, who does the Fanatical Elves, or the What the Elf Was That show, he's talked about this too. And you know that if you follow the NFL, it's about the dollar bill. And so that's where we're at. Shedeur is a Pro Bowler. Now, it's historically will go down as he was in the Pro Bowl. You want to argue that and say that's a joke, fine. But I'm happy for the kid. And the kid came out positively, talked about it the other day or today. And I'm proud. I'm proud of the kid making it. His dad, Dion Primetime, he's out there thanking God and all this. It's good. And if you can't see the goodness in any of this and you just want to spit on it, I just, again, why are you a Browns fan? And then if you want to come at people who support Shedeur Sanders and say, oh, well, the Shedeur fan base, they're just like a cult. Well, okay, maybe they're a little over the top. I'm not going to disagree with you on most of those things. But look, Shedeur is going to the Pro Bowl. He's going to participate, and let's get behind our quarterback. Now, some of you also want to complain about Shedeur. Well, he was only 7 or 8 games. I'm not going to name him our number one quarterback. Well, no, we don't even know who the hell the new coach is going to be. So let's just all sit back, relax, let the process, because the Browns are good at the process. Speaking of the process, before we leave this topic of the Browns coaches and Shedeur, there's been a lot of talk in the last few days. Some earlier in the week, it was brought up that the Browns are the Browns, and that they make their coaching prospects write an essay and do a personality test and all of this stuff. Look, if other teams don't do it exactly the same way as the Browns, if that's what it sounds like, that's fine. But it, I'm sure it's happening in some degree. And what the Browns are doing, to be honest, and if you're honest if you're in the workforce and all these things, what they're doing isn't much different than what you would do in any type of job or trying to seek a job. They're trying to gather information about you, your personality, they want to, hear about who you are. Shouldn't be considered a flaw. And if you want to look at it more positively, like, they're doing their time, they're doing their due diligence, they're doing what they need to do, what they think's best to make this organization better. Some of you laugh at that and you might say, oh, well, look at what it's gotten us. Right. Okay, fine. You want to bash the Browns again. Bye-bye. Go root for another team. I'm here for the long haul. I hope you are too. And this team is not the worst dysfunctional organization in the history of sports. Those of you who are commenting on that and want to continually say that, I don't know. Again, why the hell are you Cleveland Browns fans? Go somewhere else. We don't want you as a Browns fan. We don't need you. And you're a waste of time spewing all this crap if you're talking that way. So goodbye. If you're a Browns fan, support this team. Support this team. Support this organization. Stop bashing it for the quarterback plays. Stop bashing it for coaching decisions. Stop bashing it for how they go through the process of the interview. If it's taking a long time, be patient. Stop trying to act like you know better than somebody who's been doing this job, that job in a football organization. You don't have any experience. I don't have any experience running a football team. Let me know, you out there who have run a football organization and think that you can run it better for the Browns, because we could talk about it as fans, like, oh, I could do this. I do that all the time, which is, it's not a good, smart move on my part either. But Andrew Berry, the Haslams, other people that are in that organization, let them do their job. If it tanks, if this team sucks again, so be it. We'll talk about it. They'll be fired. We'll move on. We have had this organization talking about it being just so dysfunctional. Yeah, there have been ups and downs with this organization. I'm here. I understand that, and I've talked about it. I've written about it. The Deshaun Watson debacle, all of that. That was crap. But we got to look forward. You got a beautiful dome stadium going to be built here in 2029. Get behind that dome stadium. Stop complaining about, oh, I want to sit out in 20-degree weather in the snow. Most of the time, if you want to go back historically and look at how that's helped the Browns do, even going way back to the 80s and the 90s, like when the Browns were playing back in the day in 84, 85, when they played the Houston Oilers in a playoff game. It was snowy, icy, and all that stuff. Didn't help them. Who won that game? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. The Houston Oilers did. So stop talking about the climate and how it's a benefit. It's not going to happen. Okay. They're building a brand new dome stadium. So get behind that. And again, if you can't get behind it, go somewhere else. We don't want you as a Browns fan because we're tired of hearing your negativity. There are too many of you out there who are constantly negative about this organization, and it's so tiring. All right, moving on. Let me see if there's any news up here. I'm not getting much here. Let's see. Dun, dun. Okay, we are. Dun, 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 dun. Nothing yet. I'm not seeing anything. We might get a decision here by the end of the night. I'm getting news breaks from Cleveland people up there about school districts that aren't closing yet in Cleveland. Uh-oh. I know most of the school districts, almost every one of them here in the Columbus area, have closed. Some even closed earlier this afternoon by lunchtime, which I'm in a district that did not. We waited till later this evening, but I believe most of the school districts here in the Columbus region, South Central Ohio, are closed, but not in Cleveland apparently. Um, Okay, looking to see any more about anything and not seeing anything yet. I'm getting different bits of information here. Again, it comes down to the Nate Shieldhouse, Haas, Todd Munkin, and Jim Schwartz. My individual, I've said this before on the Fanatical Elf show, which will be coming up Thursday night with hopefully Steve Gill and Sam Britton and myself. I like Jim Schwartz, and some of you do. Some of you think that it's like, why did we waste 4 weeks to come up with a coach and just get Jim Schwartz? I think Jim Schwartz is a good guy. I think he's a good coach. Yes, I think that he's had some ups and downs, especially when he was the coach of the Detroit Lions, but that was 15 years ago. So some of you are still like, well, he wasn't successful the last time. Well, that was 15 years ago. So again, I'd be fine with, honestly, I'm fine with like all three. If you go with the younger kid, the Shieldhouse, I think that he's young, he's 35, the upside, the youth, I think that would all be really cool. I think if you did that, maybe Schwartz would agree to stay on. I don't know and I think, honestly, I think that's where they're at right now. I think they've maybe made a decision at the head coaching position now, and now they're trying to figure out who's going to be where are the other puzzle pieces going to land with this coaching staff. So that's why I say, give it the time that it needs. Yes, I'm as anxious as you are, but we'll get this figured out. All right. Did want to just transition to a couple different things. The Cleveland Cavaliers. We got word this afternoon, that Evan Mobley will be out 1 to 3 weeks with a strain. I don't know if it was an ankle or wrist or something like that. He will be out untimely. The Cavs are starting to get some momentum going. I've said this for weeks. I told people not to worry about the Cavs. I know some of you out there are huge Cavs fans and feel like this season's been a waste and this Cavs team is blah, but I'm not one of them. By the way, also another shout out to my buddy Dean Wade. I know Dean a little bit personally, and to all of you out there that are continually bashing this kid, shame on you. Stop being a Cavs fan. You have no idea what the hell you're talking about it when it comes to basketball. You really don't. If you are one of those people that I continually see in La La Land saying that Dean Wade is a waste of a player for the Cavaliers, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You really don't. I have been a coach of basketball for decades, and your comments about someone like Dean Wade, who is a friend of mine, are shameful. So if you're one of those people out there that comments about Dean Wade just about being crap, I have no idea what planet you came from. Dean Wade has been commented on a bazillion ways by his coaches over the years, and most recently again by Kenny Atkinson, talking about being the glue to this Cleveland Cavaliers team. And I've talked about this endlessly. The kid helps teams win basketball. No, he doesn't blow up the stat line. He doesn't need to. He does all the little things that don't go always seen in a box score. Now he's had a really nice run over the last 10 games. So the kid's been with this team for 8 years, I think now. Some of you who don't pay attention to Cavalier basketball, again, don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. The Cavaliers have a very good nucleus of players. And I know some of you want to continually bash them just because you want them to win 60 games every year. Well, they're not going to. We've been spoiled. We were spoiled when we had LeBron. Then we've been spoiled a little bit more recently now with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. And we've had a run of success with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. A lot of you guys bash Jared Allen all the time. Listen, man, I've I've met these guys. I've met them personally. I like Jared Allen and Dean Wade are good friends. Sam Merrill, these guys are friends. These guys want to be successful. They are, you know, basketball is a tough sport, man. It's five guys on the field. You got, you got an 82 game season. It's tough. Let this Cavaliers team work things out. It's January 27th right now. January 27th. We don't get into the playoffs until what? April? Early May? Give it a break. I think the Cavs are up to what, fourth or third place right now in the standings. Give it some time. Give it some time. But for those of you who are out there bashing Dean Wade, shame on you. Just go root for another team. We don't want you to be a Cavaliers fan if you don't understand basketball. And you don't understand basketball. All right. Finally, shout out to Jose Ramirez. Signed an extension, 7 years, $175 million. This kid is dedicated to the Cleveland Guardians. Shout out to him. Shout out to the Guardians. Shout out to the old Indians teams. They find ways to win. They don't pay their players a lot of money. Obviously, Jose Ramirez is getting a boatload of money, but some of you will say, "Oh, well, he could have gotten more." Well, no, so fine. He's here. Those of you complaining again about Jose, and the Guardians and not doing enough and blah 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 blah, go root for another team. I'm on a tangent today because some of you are just as annoying as hell out there in La La Land bashing these teams that supposedly you like. Now, listen, I don't care. Like we're all allowed to not like our teams from periodically, and I'm not always 100%, especially when the Browns are making their coaches are making some boneheaded decisions in games, or even the basketball games or the Guardians are playing. Those things happen, but when you get out there in social media land and you're constantly, and not all of you do this, but there are some of you who are constant negative Cleveland supposed fans, and I don't understand what your purpose is behind that other than clicks. You want clicks, people are going to click on your crap and see it and talk about it like I'm doing right now. So there you go. I guess you win. Anywho, shout out to Jose. Very excited to see him stay as a Cleveland Guardian. The Cleveland Guardians announced that they have their opening day home game on April 3rd at 4 o'clock down at the Progressive Field. They still call it Progressive Field, right? They used to be the old, Jake's, called the Jacobs Field, the Jake. So those are the kind of the big headlines right now. We're waiting again. I'm just checking my feed here. I haven't seen. So I just got a message here saying that Matt Fontana, I know we follow him a little bit on, I don't know, Matt, you're on what, 90? Are you on 92.3 maybe, or ESPN 850? But he just commented here that Andrew Berry is still in Berea with his coaching search means he's not in Mobile for the Senior Bowl practices, which I noticed they had the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight, and then there were some practices for the Senior Bowl coming up. I was watching that earlier today on NFL Network. Let me just look through here if there's anything updated here, but I'm not seeing anything right now. I know Mary Kay is always bringing us news, the beat writer for the Brownies. And, she's said something about an hour ago about how they did more work on the three of their head coaching finalists and are still working some things through. Some of you, again, quick to read that and then bash this team and say, what the hell's wrong with them? Why can't they make a decision? My God, people, you have the patience of like a 5-year-old. It's just crazy. Thank you. Thanks, 14 Bonham. Thank you again. I know you're a strong follower of the Browns Blitz coming up here later this week with oh my gosh, Rod Bloom and his brother Jeff. So thank you for watching our show. And it's at a point this year and right now where Browns fans, we've just gone through hell the last 2 years. And listen, we're all frustrated. I'm the first to be frustrated like you are. But my colleagues like Rod Bloom, if you follow him on his social media platforms and my other colleagues, support this team, support this organization, support Cleveland, and stop going out of your way to make things worse. They don't have to be that bad. I mean, the fact that we are constantly, and I'm doing it right now, looking at my phone, trying to get updates, tells you everything that you need to know about what's going on in life right now. And we don't have any patience. And that's what drives some of this negativity. I get it. But one, we all, including myself, this is my own take, we need to stay off of these damn phones. But the problem is that we have information constantly being streamed at us. And that is so different from the way things were just, 30 years ago. So when I saw that was the other thing. Somebody mentioned before I let everybody go tonight, somebody was talking about Jimmy Haslam being the worst Browns owner of all time. And I'm like, how, like, what? Like, Jimmy Haslam spends a boatload of money on this Cleveland Browns organization. He does. He's a rich man. And if you talk to the people here in Columbus, Ohio, and the Columbus Crew soccer team, fans here in Columbus love the Haslams, and they have a beautiful stadium, and the Browns get a lot of money too. The organization, the Haslams are spending a boatload of money. So, but you're saying that he's the worst owner ever, and I'm like, what? Because there are owners in my lifetime. Many of you know, old guy who died and stole the team from Cleveland and took him to Baltimore. Yeah, and Art Modell. You remember him? Yeah, he got rid of Paul Brown, right? And then he took the team and to Baltimore. He took him out of Cleveland. So before we start talking about, if we really want to get down to the nitty gritty, it's a ridiculous take. Those of you who are trying to say that Jimmy Haslam is the worst owner ever and just sell the team. That's just dumb. Like, I talked about Jimmy Haslam the other day too. There is that constant with, he's been here with his wife, owning the team since 2012 or whatever. So that is something that we need to pay attention to with all of this. But certainly he's not the worst owner of the Browns. The prize there is Art Modell. If you're a Browns fan and you don't agree with the fact that Art Modell, is the worst owner and creep of all time, I can't have a conversation with you. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, boy, we were wired tonight, weren't we? I appreciate you tuning in here to the Fanatical Elves Network and my Johnny Cleveland show. We have a plethora of other shows coming later this week. I believe Steve Hemrich has his There's a Gleam show coming up tomorrow. I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. I know last week they did their show on Thursday, so stay tuned. I'm sure Steve and his buddy John will let you guys know on their social media posts. Appreciate you, Bonham, to coming in here on our show and watching a little bit tonight. Thank you again for watching us live here on YouTube, Facebook, and the X. And you can listen to us later on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere you listen to your podcast. We appreciate your support. Later this week, again, we have the Fanatical Elf show coming up Thursday. Rod Bloom's show will be coming up, I believe, Thursday as well, with the Browns Blitz with his brother Jeff. And again, Steve Gill will have his Dog Pound South show. I'm rebooting the Stirring the Pot show, starting back up here in the next week. So stay tuned for that. And also don't forget about Sam Britton's Browns Breakdowns coming to you soon. He's our youngster who lives down there in Dallas, Texas. Everybody have a great rest of your evening. And remember too, that's right, keep smiling. Go Browns.